In this video tutorial for XML Viewer from Seaway Solutions, we're going to take a look at editing the schema inside an existing XML file. So to do that, we need to load in the XML file that we wish to make our changes to. Once that XML has been loaded in, we need to click on this button on the right to expose the XML. Now left click anywhere on the text area, and then what we want to do is we want to select all the text and then copy the content. So to do that, we hold down Control, press A. While having the Control still held down, we then press C on the keyboard. Okay, so that has now copied that XML contents. Next thing we need to do is go to our XML editor. Once it's loaded, we paste the XML that we copied into the XML preview part of this form. So to paste it, we simply select it and then hold down Control and press V. Alright, there we go. Our XML has now been pasted. Next, what we do is we run XML. We click that button, and that will populate the GUI with the information that was stored inside the XML. So if we go to here, we can see there are our columns and our rows and our tables. So let's say in this scenario, what I want to do is I want to change table 22 to table 2 and column 22 to column 2. Now normally I don't change table names and column names. However, for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just showing what is possible with the XML editor. So just double click on the column that you want to make a change to, and you can I'm just going to delete that too. If you press OK, those changes will be applied. If you go cancel, those changes will not be applied. Okay, so I'll just do it again, press OK, and as we can see, column 22 is now column 2. The same with the table. We simply double click on the table we want to edit, change the information, click cancel to roll back and go back to being called table 22, or click OK to commit the changes. Alright, so now our changes have been committed. What we need to do is we need to update our XML. So if we have a look here, we can see that it's still referring to the old names. But once we've pressed generate XML, if we have a look at table, what was 22 is now called table 2, and the same for the column. So that is editing a table name and editing a column name. The next thing that we will have a look at is adding a column to our schema and our existing schema. So to do that, what we need to do is select the table we want to add the column to, and in this case it's going to be table 1, and I'm going to just call it column 4, and I'll just make it a string data type. We go, click on add column, and now we can see that we've got an extra column for table 1. Click generate XML to apply those changes to the XML, and as we can see, that's been done. So that's adding to an existing XML schema. The last thing that I'm going to show you is deleting or removing a column from the XML schema. Just one thing to note, we'll have a look at the data. Column 3 is the one I've chosen to delete. There is data in it, and that data will be lost, and there's no rollback for it. I'm just going to put a value in here in the new column, our column 4, and I just apply those changes. So now that when we go and have a look under table 1, we'll see that column 4 has a value of new. So we'll go back to setup, select the column that you want to remove, and on your keyboard simply press delete. Check the number. It's always, or the column name, sorry. It's always a good habit to get into, and If it's the wrong one, you can click no and that will cancel the action, or we'll press yes and that will accept the request to delete it, and now we can see that it's gone. Last thing we need to do is press generate XML, and if we have a look at table 1, we'll see that column 3 is no more, but we have our new column, column 4. Okay, so that's adding, editing and deleting data, or not data, but schema information from an existing XML file. All that is left is to save the changes. My rule of thumb is always to keep a backup. So that was my original document. I'm not going to save over that. I'm going to save over it as a different file, and there we go. What we'll do now is we'll just load it in and check the information to see that everything went fine. There we go. We can see column 3 is missing, column 4's got the value of new, table name has been changed, and so is the column name. However, no data was lost. So that's pretty much it for editing a schema in an existing file. Have a good night from Seaware Solutions.